It's in the desert, about 850 kilometres north of Adelaide, the nearest city. I lived in Adelaide for 7 years before I moved to Coober Pedy, but I prefer living here. The strange thing about this town is that 80% of the people live underground. This is because it's usually over 50 degrees in the summer and below freezing in winter. But the best thing about these underground houses is that it's always about 25 degrees, so we don't need air conditioning or central heating. My family and I have lived in this house for 5 years. It's just like a normal house, but without any windows.
I live on a houseboat on the River Seine with my husband Alain and our daughter Isabel. I met Alain 8 years ago when I was on a holiday here in Paris. I'm from Ireland originally, you see. We've been married for 6 years and I've lived here since our wedding day. The boat has got everything we want. A kitchen, a big living room, 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, central heating, and a small garden. Alain's lived on this boat since 1995. He never wants to live anywhere else, and neither do I. The best thing about our home is that it moves. We can leave tomorrow and go anywhere we want.
Recording 8.2.
What's his name?
How long have you known him?
Where did you first meet him?
Where does he live?
How long has he lived there?
Where did he live before that?
Where does he work or study?
How long has he been there?
When did you last see him?
Recording 8.3.
You know Richard, my new boyfriend?
Yes.
Well, his parents have invited us to dinner this evening.
Oh, how lovely.
And I don't want to do anything wrong. Could you give me some advice?
Yes, of course. What do you want to know?
Okay, the first thing, what time should I arrive?
Well, you shouldn't arrive late. British people are usually on time, as you know.
Not even a few minutes?
Well, a few minutes is okay, but it's a bit rude to arrive more than 15 minutes late.
Right. Should I take something to eat, like cake or ice cream?
We don't often take food, but we usually take something for the hostess, like flowers or a bottle of wine or some chocolates.
That's good to know.
And when you meet someone you don't know, it's polite to shake hands. British people often kiss their friends, but not people they don't know.
Oh, yes, I knew that.
Oh, another thing. You must ask the hostess if you can smoke. Most British people don't smoke and think it's rude to smoke at the dinner table.
Right.
Oh, and you should wait for the hostess to start eating first. And you must say you like the food, even if it's terrible. Anything else? Oh, yes. British people like to sit and talk for an hour or two after they've had dessert. So you shouldn't leave immediately after the meal.
Right. And is there anything I shouldn't talk about?
No, not really. You can talk about anything. Places you've been to, work, family, and the weather, of course. But you shouldn't ask people how much they earn.
Okay. Thanks a lot. That's really useful.
No problem. I'm sure you'll have a great time. So, what are you going to wear?
Recording 8.4. 1. A.
You shouldn't arrive late.
B.
You shouldn't leave immediately.
2. A.
You must ask the hostess.
B.
And you must say you like the food.
3. A.
We don't often take food.
B.
Most British people don't smoke.
Recording 8.5.
This is delicious.
Thank you, Antonia.
Yes, Mum's food is always delicious.
Have you been to England before, Antonia?
Yes, when I was 16, I came here to study English. I went to a language school in Bath.
And where have you been this time?
Well, last week I went back to Bath to visit some friends. That was really nice.
And what are you planning to do with the rest of your time here?
Oh, I don't know really.
Well, you should go to Cambridge to see the university. It's really beautiful. We've got some friends there. I'm sure you can stay with them if you like.
That sounds good. Thank you.
And Richard should take you to London to see the sights, of course.
Yes, maybe.
Oh, yes. And you must go on the London Eye while you're there.
What's that?
It's a big wheel about 150 metres high. You can see the whole city from the top. It's wonderful.
That sounds amazing. And I want to go to Oxford Street to do some shopping.
Oh, no.
I need to buy some presents for my family back in Italy, and I want to get some new clothes. Maybe we can go next Saturday, Richard?
Clothes shopping in London on a Saturday afternoon? You're joking.
Richard!
Recording 8.6.
On Around the World this week, we're looking at giving presents in different cultures. With me is travel writer Neil Palmer. Welcome to the programme, Neil.
Thank you.
Now, everyone gives presents, of course, but it isn't as easy as that, is it?
No, it certainly isn't. In some places, like China, for example, it's polite to refuse a present once or twice before accepting it. If you accept it immediately, people might think you're greedy. And you should give the present with both hands, not just one hand.
Oh, that's interesting.
And even opening presents can be a problem. In most Western countries, like England or the USA, people want you to open the present when they give it to you. But in places like Thailand and Vietnam, it's very rude to open a present immediately. You should keep the present and open it when you get home.
And is there anything you shouldn't give as a present?
Well, that depends on the country. In Japan, you must never give anything you can cut with, like knives or scissors, as these are a symbol of death.
Oh dear, that could be embarrassing.
Yes, and in both Japanese and Chinese, the word for four means death, so you shouldn't give anyone an even number of things. That's why in Japanese department stores you always buy glasses in sets of 5 or 7.
In the UK, we often give flowers. Is that the same all over the world?
Yes, but you still need to be careful. In countries like Turkey, for example, you shouldn't give your hostess white flowers. People only give white flowers at funerals. And you must give an odd number of flowers. An even number is unlucky.
I never knew giving presents was so difficult. Neil Palmer, thank you for coming in to talk to us today.
It was a pleasure.
Recording 8.7.
But it isn't as easy as that, is it?
If you accept it immediately, people might think you're greedy.
And is there anything you shouldn't give as a present?
Recording 8.8.
It's very rude to open a present immediately. It's very rude to open a present immediately. You shouldn't give anyone an even number of things. You shouldn't give anyone an even number of things. You always buy glasses in sets of 5 or 7. You always buy glasses in sets of 5 or 7. And you must give an odd number of flowers. And you must give an odd number of flowers.
Recording 8.9.
Whereabouts in Scotland are you from, Bruce?
The capital, Edinburgh.
Oh, I'm going there next month on business. So what's Edinburgh like?
Fantastic. It's very cosmopolitan, and the city itself is very beautiful. The centre's a bit touristy, but the city still has lots of tradition. And of course, there's Edinburgh Castle, which is amazing.
Is Scotland similar to England?
No, it's quite different. We have the same currency as England, but we have our own banknotes, and we have our own language, Gaelic. But don't worry, everybody speaks English, with a Scottish accent, of course.
I must admit I don't know much about Scotland.
Most people don't. They know that men sometimes wear a kilt, which is like a skirt, but for men, and that we play a musical instrument called the bagpipes. And of course, Scottish whisky is one of the most famous drinks in the world. But Scotland's much more than that.
So, what are the people like?
Well, they're quite reserved, but they really like foreign visitors, and they're always very welcoming and friendly.
And what's the weather like?
It can be quite wet and windy, and the winters are freezing. But on a warm, sunny day, there's nowhere better in the world.
And what's the food like?
Ah, delicious. Have you heard of haggis?
Yes, but I don't know what it is.
Basically, it's a sheep's heart, cut up and cooked in the sheep's stomach.
Ooh, it sounds horrible.
I know, but it's really good. When did you say you were going?
In August.
Brilliant. You'll be there for the Edinburgh Festival. Now that is an experience. Lots of street theatre, comedy and music. It goes on for nearly a month.
That sounds great. Is it easy to get tickets for things?
Recording 8.10.
What's the city like? What are the people like? What's the weather like? What's the food like?